Unbeknownst to you, this treatment starts to poison your child's body because the glycolic acid ingredient in there, which they market as formaldehyde free, is going to turn into crystals and sit in your child's kidneys. This is the scary thing about the keratin treatments. Nobody tells the truth.
Change your life. I hope so.
I got a keratin treatment 6 months ago. The keratin treatment loosened my curls, making it more manageable.
I remember the first time a 13-year-old asked me for a texturizer. Her mum had brought her down to one of my hair clinics, and she basically had beautiful, very dense, very thick, tight full hair, beautiful hair texture, and she wanted it looser and more manageable. And I asked her why. Her answer kind of broke my heart. She said that she'd been overwhelmed at school, she's tired of being the only one, she's tired of a PE teacher asking her to tie her hair back when it's already tied back, she's tired of people asking to touch it and calling her hair clouds, and she was just really fed up of being the person with the big hair in the class. But what struck me was, it wasn't that she was ashamed of her hair, it was more down to the fact that she was ashamed or upset or overwhelmed by society's view and energy towards her hair. I think she actually loved her hair, but because of that reason, she wanted to get a texturizer. I've been formulating products for around 8 years at that time, and I've spoken to hundreds of parents and their children and daughters and girls, and something about what she said really got me emotional, because it wasn't about the fact that she hated her hair, she hated other people's reaction to her hair. Now fast forward to 2025, 2026, that same young girl is now asking, not for a texturizer, because they're so au fait, they're now asking for a keratin treatment.
This is some of the best hair I've ever seen in my chair, man.
So long already.
It's so gorgeous. Look at this. Look at this length in there. You get overwhelmed by your hair a little bit sometimes?
So she had the nanny like book this and not tell me, and then we booked the flight. It was a hot mess, but we made it here.
Wait a second. She had the nanny book it?
Yeah.
Without mom's permission?
Yeah. So that's why there was so much confusion. Because I said,
Same vulnerability, but actually even worse chemicals. And if you don't know the history of Brazilian blowouts around 2005, 2010, you're going to want to hear this. So today I'm going to show you 3 things. Why keratin treatments are basically just rebranded texturizers of Brazilian blowouts, what happens when the chemicals inside those products actually get into your body, and what you can do instead. Before we can talk about keratin treatments today, I need you to understand where they came from. 2005 to 2010. Brazilian blowouts are all salon, every celebrity, every magazine, hyping these treatments up to be the next biggest thing. Easier hair, freedom, hair manageability, frizz-free. Look at that ad, split down the middle. Curly hair one side, freedom on the other side. 2010. Oregon health officials started getting some really serious reports. Salon workers are getting very sick. We're talking about nosebleeds, headaches, feeling very faint, burning eyes as well. So they test the products, and what they find is these Brazilian blowout products contain 10% formaldehyde. But hold on a minute, they said formaldehyde free is more. How are they getting away with this? They used a product ingredient called methylene glycol. Now methylene glycol on its own is not formaldehyde, hence why it said formaldehyde free. But when you heat it to 450 degrees, guess what? It releases formaldehyde. When you heat it to 450 degrees, it releases formaldehyde gas. So for years and years, stylists, the customers in the salon who don't even have any treatments done, and also the customer in a chair were breathing in this formaldehyde gas. They're basically breathing in carcinogenic fumes, formaldehyde gas. This leads to cancer. In December 2012, news reports detailed that formaldehyde is contained in Brazilian blowouts. The news had finally come out. Yet still, these treatments were still being done nationwide. They didn't seem to be listening to the FDA's warning. Not only were they not listening after the investigations were done, they were still subjecting their salon owners, salon employees, and their customers to toxic formaldehyde gas. So even after investigations, lawsuits, and letters from the FDA, they kept on selling these treatments. Selling these treatments on the vulnerability of people with frizzy hair, afro hair, curly hair, offering them frizz-free hair, manageability, but failing to let them know that it came with a dose of formaldehyde, a dose of poison, a dose of cancer-giving property.
Okay. Let's try to squeeze it to see if it's thick.
However, in Canada they banned it. The EU restricted it. So here's what the industry did. In 2005 to 2010 we had Brazilian blowout season. Formaldehyde free, we know that's a lie. 2011 to 2016 or 15 we had texturizers going rampant. At least they were honest, it was a chemical relaxer. And then 2016 to 2020 was the rise of the keratin treatment. The same keratin treatment that promised in Brazilian blowouts to be formaldehyde free was now everywhere. Same chemicals, new name, much better marketing. But they were targeting the same vulnerable sort of customer. girls with afro hair, curly hair, frizzy hair, the kind of hair that people think is not acceptable in society, the kind of hair that makes a person with that hair feel like they can't be professional at times. Here's what they've learned today. Absolutely nothing. The chemicals still exist. And in fact, the chemicals are actually even worse. We're going to find out later. So let's go back to 2015 again. Back to the question from that 13-year-old girl I told you about in my masterclass. And when she asked me about a texturizer, I have to be honest, I said to her mum, look, listen, a texturizer is basically a mild version of relaxer. It's going to break down the chemical bonds in her hair. It makes the hair much weaker. It's not really an easy way to manage the hair, because if you don't then have a regular treatment program afterwards, you're going to have weakened hair, drier hair, and you'll be worse off than when you started from. Thankfully for her, her mum listened, and she found new ways through my masterclass, learning how to look after her hair. But that isn't the case today. That same mother and daughter is looking at TikTok right now, and she's seeing a whole different level of marketing. Because right now they're saying, it's not a relaxer. The industry is so smart. They know that relaxers are now out of fashion. They know that there was a dramatic decline in the usage of relaxers from around 2016 onwards for the past 10 years, something else. They say that these keratin treatments are not a relaxer. They're just a way to smooth the hair out. It's natural, it's protein. It strengthens the hair. What they fail to tell you is the ingredients inside do a lot more damage. I would say that keratin treatments are actually the new texturizer. They both require repeated treatments. They both require regrowth management. They both actually change the chemical composition of your hair. Different ingredients, same message, but even worse today. They both target young girls who are struggling, or their parents who are struggling to maintain afro or curly textured hair. I would say the only difference is this. At least for the texturizer, they were quite honest on the box. It's a chemical treatment loosening your hair. However, with the way they manipulate the marketing around the keratin treatment, what they're saying is it's a smoothing treatment. It only lasts 3 months. But if you scroll through any page, you're going to see that anyone who's had a keratin treatment, once that regrowth hits 3 months, it looks like they've had a relaxer done to the rest of the hair. The difference in the new growth and the keratin treatment hair is night and day. The sad reality is most mums are not scientists like myself. Most mums have no idea about the chemical composition of a product they go to a salon to get for their child. I mean, I saw a young girl on TikTok having her hair done. I think she was 4 years old, and I think she was getting hair Botox treatment. Again, hair Botox treatment is a straightening treatment. Same chemical. Her daughter's 4 years old, and she quoted saying that she wanted her daughter to embrace her hair more, because at school all the other girls have straight hair and she didn't want her daughter to feel left out. That mum, I guarantee, has no idea that the chemicals applied to the hair in the hair Botox treatment contain formaldehyde, which is a #1 carcinogen, cancer-causing chemical. Sadly, because a keratin treatment is not a relaxer, mums are thinking it's safer, but actually it's worse. A keratin treatment hits the body in 2 different ways. #1, it gets into your bloodstream because you breathe in all the gases and vapors when it's heated up. And #2, it seeps into your body via the treatment being applied to your hair. So it gets into the body in 2 ways. That's 2 different ways that toxins are being applied to your child's hair and body, scalp, your teen, or even yourself if you're a young lady who's using a keratin treatment. So why haven't the FDA banned these toxic treatments? Why are the FDA still allowing thousands of people to breathe in this noxious gas? Why do young girls keep falling for this? I think the main reason is a lot of young girls are insecure with their hair texture, and being somebody who grew up natural, but I've worn weaves, I wear wigs, I have braids. As a black woman, we change our hair all the time, and we have that right to. But I think the massive gap in learning between a young black girl and a young white girl learning about their hair is the missing link in terms of being confident with your hair, or knowing that your hair can grow long, or your hair can be healthy if you do certain things. So the young black girl, the young race hair texture, mixed race girl with curly hair texture, or the black girl with curly hair texture, whatever it is, that young girl is looking for a solution, and also her parent, because the kids I see getting the keratin treatments now are younger and younger every time. I mean, I saw a TikTok video of one particular page. This lady uses the Keratin Revolution products, and she had a 3-year-old in her chair getting a keratin treatment. I nearly coughed out my drink. I could not believe it. I'm thinking, even if the parent comes in and asks you for this treatment, as an adult woman, you should be able to say no, she's too young.
Hi guys, today I'm going to be sharing our youngest client to date's keratin journey. Everyone meet Shelley. Shelley first came to us in May 2022 for her first ever keratin treatment, and she was just 3 years old.
You have to have some integrity about your business. Everything can't be about money, and it's okay to say no. Even if you don't realise that formaldehyde is in these products, it's a chemical treatment. Chemicals and pre-rolls do not mix. It shouldn't go together. So why do young girls and their parents keep falling for this? Well, imagine this, you're 12 years old, you go into high school, you've got the big hair, puffs, twists, braids, and you hear, oh wow, your hair's really pretty, your hair's really big, it looks so fluffy, oh you look so pretty if you straightened your hair. And then you go online and see a lot of type 3 hair textures, wavy hair textures, silky hair textures being plastered everywhere. You walk past your Superdrug Boots, in the window they have mixed, lighter skinned girls with mixed race girls, I don't know mixed race, but mixed race looking girls. You walk past the shops, in the media still, even in London, even that messaging to young girls who wear the Afro puffs is that your hair is not silky enough, your hair is not the desired hair type to have in society. This is the reason why our girls are falling for this message. Scrolling through TikTok, you see it all the time. Keratin treatment, manageability, oh my hair's much easier, wash and go hair. Again, that lack of education brings them right back to, this is the reason why I'm willing to put myself at risk, unbeknownst to them, to get my hair to be more manageable. And because I don't want to have frizzy hair. When frizzy hair and curls and Afro hair, it goes hand in hand. It's like butter on toast, it goes together. So when you see the messaging that frizzy hair is undesirable, your hair is not pretty, your hair is wild, it's uncontrollable, unmanageable, unprofessional. And then you see somebody offering this treatment. If you're a parent and you have a mixed race child, if you're a parent and you have a black child, and you have to then sit down and do a mass of hair, especially hair you've never experienced before if you have straight hair in your life, it can be a very daunting task. I've coached hundreds of parents, had many people in my masterclasses too for over a decade, written about hair issues in published magazines, and it's always the same kind of situation. And I know myself, having children with very thick hair, having to detangle for 6 hours, the child screaming, crying, you're exhausted, they're stressed, you're stressed. Scrolling through TikTok and seeing somebody advertising a manageable system or a manageability system for that particular hair type, you're going to think, wow, my prayers have been answered. You're not going to think that when you put your child in this professional person's hand or let them sit in that seat to have their hair done with the keratin treatment, that even just applying the heat, even just being in that environment, you're subjecting your child to potential cancer risks. You're not going to think about that. It's just a scary thing about the keratin treatments. Nobody tells the truth. I don't blame the mums. I don't blame the girls. I blame the industry. I don't even blame the stylists, because unbeknownst to them, some of the stylists are just there to style the hair. You can't take out your anger on the stylist. It comes back to the industry who's making millions of pounds of these treatments. The same industry who knew the FDA had banned Brazilian blowouts in Canada, across Europe. Formaldehyde releasing products are banned. However, they changed the name, they changed the marketing, same game. So let's talk about what these products, what these chemicals actually do to the body. And the scary thing is this. I'm going to talk about one particular brand that I've seen all over social media, Keratin Revolution. Now, I once messaged a particular lady who does hundreds of these treatments. The reason why I messaged her is because I see so many young black girls, black women, travelling down to her salon in the north of England, just to have this treatment done. One occasion I saw a mother, a black woman, she had 3 beautiful girls. I think the youngest was about 4, the oldest only about 10, and she had travelled down to have this treatment done. So 4 of them were having the treatment done. It would have cost her over £1,000 that day to have that treatment done on all of the heads. I think on one of the girls took about 4 hours. So sitting in that chair, breathing in those fumes for 4 hours, unbeknownst to you, it's formaldehyde gas. I mean, if the gas was pink and your eyes were burning, you'd understand, but you don't often smell it. It's a secret poisoning gas. It's a bit like monoxide. You know, you have the monoxide warning, and it's a secret killer because you can't smell it anywhere. It's the same thing with formaldehyde gas. However, there are some treatments. I have seen another guy on TikTok who, which is rather alarming. His stylist and himself bring the client outside to do the blow drying of the treatment. I'm not sure what product he uses, but I do know that the reason they're bringing the client outside after they've applied this keratin treatment to their hair and blow drying their hair is because of the gases, because of the reaction when it's blow dried. I mean, if you have to bring your client outside to style their hair, alarm bells should start ringing immediately. That should tell you something is wrong. Now, that particular man on TikTok has had loads of young girls with mixed race hair, and it tends to be a lot of the ones with white mums who live in quite white areas and haven't got the support network to learn how to manage their girl's hair. And sometimes, by the time he's finished with the girl's hair, the hair is straight. Now, it's meant to be a treatment whereby all your curls remain intact. That's what they say. So not only do you get your hair being damaged, you also get the risk of cancer. In the Keratin Revolution product, the ingredient glyoxylic acid, which is meant to be healthy and it's marketed as formaldehyde-free, is very toxic. It works in two ways. Attack number one, you apply the treatment to your hair, smooth it in, and sometimes the treatment is actually left in, which is scarier. And it's heated, so they blow dry the hair to get the hair to be dry. That then releases formaldehyde gas. You're breathing that in for however long that treatment lasts. And then they do the flat iron straightening part as well. Again, you're breathing in more gas. So it hits you. Attack number one is breathing in the gas. But attack number two is having the product applied to your hair and scalp and it absorbing through your bloodstream that way. So you're getting it in two different ways. And glyoxylic acid actually creates crystals in your body. Your scalp has very thin skin, so anything on the skin goes in. Anything on the scalp at all goes into the bloodstream and has an effect on the way your body behaves. Once the chemical treatment, or the keratin treatment, actually that should really be called a chemical treatment, is absorbed into your skin, your blood tries to break it down, or your body tries to break it down. But what happens is it can't fully break down the glyoxylic acid, so it actually transforms to oxalic acid. And this oxalic acid forms tiny glass-like crystals. These crystals then settle themselves in your kidneys, and that's where they cause tremendous amounts of damage. So you've walked in or brought your children into a salon to have a treatment done. Unbeknownst to you, this treatment starts to poison your child's body because the glyoxylic acid ingredient in there, which they market as formaldehyde-free, is going to turn into crystals and sit in your child's kidneys. How would you feel if somebody walked into school, did a presentation for your child, and handed them some water that contained an ingredient in the water that turned into tiny crystals in the kidneys when they drank it as an experiment? And that's what you're doing when you give your child a keratin treatment, even if it says formaldehyde-free. So look at this picture right here. On one side you have a healthy functioning kidney, on the other side you have a kidney that has been severely damaged by the oxalic crystals. If you saw that on the warning on a poster for keratin treatments, would that deter you? So attack number one, let's breathe in the formaldehyde gas. Attack number two, let's absorb through the bloodstream and create oxalic crystals in the kidneys and damage. As recent as 2024 in December, a 17-year-old girl in Jerusalem was admitted to hospital, rushed to hospital for kidney failure. What had happened was she had beautiful curls. She wanted to take away the frizz, manageability. She wanted her hair to be smoother. She went to have a keratin treatment done. Within hours, she was subjected to vomiting, dizziness, feeling extremely faint, eyes watering. Parents rushed her to hospital, and they could not believe the diagnosis: acute kidney failure. She was 17 years old. Kidney failure from a hair treatment? That's insane. But that's not splashed all over Instagram or TikTok, is it? No, you don't hear the truth about these products. And she wasn't the only one. There's been numerous accounts of incidents like this across the world, and even more so many more like that in Israel too. So they have since put a ban on any formaldehyde releasing products. Girl, she survived, but she actually needs ongoing treatment at the nephrology centre. So you're 17 years old, you went in to have a treatment done for your hair, you want to have smoother hair, you want your hair to be more beautiful, you might have wavy or curly hair. A few hours later, your kidneys are damaged to the point whereby you need ongoing care for an unknown amount of time. It's absolutely insane. Between 2019 and 2022, there were over 20 cases of women reportedly having kidney issues because of these hair treatments. Women and girls who were aged between 14 and 58 had developed acute kidney issues or kidney disease because of these hair treatments. Let that sit for a minute. So, Israel wanted to find out what happened here. The research was done and published. Basically, it detailed the fact that the ingredients that made up these products they were using in the salons to have their hair straightened contained glyoxylic acid. And as you recall before, glyoxylic acid turns to oxalic acid, which turns to crystals in your kidney. Keratin Revolution mentioned that anywhere at all in their marketing. In fact, most of the marketing is quite positive. You'll see pictures of women with curly hair, then their hair is slightly wavy. They've got even broken down the texture, the results you can see from different texture, but nowhere in their marketing material will it detail the fact that this product may release formaldehyde gas. And in fact, when I questioned a lady at the salon and mentioned this to her, I got no response. So you have to do your own homework, especially when it comes down to vulnerable teens and children. How would you feel if you knew that years and years of keratin treatments, starting when your child was say 4 years old, now she's 14, it may be, let's say you do 1 treatment a year, that's a good 10 years of treatments, results in her then developing leukemia or acute kidney failure. Could you live with yourself, all for the sake of manageable hair? And I'm talking to the parents who are struggling, who hate wash day, who hate detangling. I get it, I know, I speak to parents all the time and I do understand. But I've actually developed a range of products from years ago for parents just like you. So if you need some help, if you need someone to help you, if you need products that actually make the hair more manageable, please get in contact or check out my website below, because 9 times out of 10, stressful hair days, I'm not saying they're ever going to go away, but they can be made 100% easier if you learn about the biology of your child's hair or your own hair, if you learn to work with the hair as opposed to working against it. I think it's really important that parents take the time to invest in their children's hair, in their teens' hair, and get the kids to invest in caring for their hair as well. 9 times out of 10, I mentioned before, there's such a large gap between a young white girl and a young black girl learning how to do her own hair. That hair education gap is missing, which means that by the time your child, let's say you're a white mum, you have a mixed race daughter, by the time your child gets to say 11 years old, she starts high school, let's say you were doing her hair for her up until high school, then you have to hand over this massive curly hair to her. If she hasn't learnt the basics of how to care for her hair, she will want to have a keratin treatment. Now, bear in mind all the information I've given you today, you have to weigh out the pros and cons. Chemicals, straightening, chemical relaxing or not. I do recall seeing a lady online the other day, her daughter was 4 years old and she gave her a Botox hair treatment. It's the same thing as a keratin treatment. Her daughter was only 4. And the reason why her daughter had this done was because the mother had said that her daughter was, everyone at school had straight hair and she didn't want her child to feel left out. I don't think that parent had any knowledge at all about the formaldehyde releasing gas in those products. I guarantee had she done so, she would not have let her daughter at 4 years old, just 4 years old, have that treatment done. So this is for anyone who's used a keratin product, please be mindful of even though it says formaldehyde free, it contains formaldehyde gas. Please be mindful of the long-term effect on your kidneys. And once you damage the kidneys, it's such a sensitive organ in the body, it may not ever repair the same way again. Maybe you have to have treatment or medication for the rest of your life. Is it worth it? Your hair is a plant, treat it that way. I guarantee it will love you back, it will be nourished. If you nourish it well, it will bloom, it will thrive. But it is a journey. Learning to love your hair is a journey, but it shouldn't be a journey that actually costs you your life or costs you a long-term health condition. Thank you for watching. If you like this kind of video, please subscribe, share and comment, and I will give you lots more. Thank you for watching.